The invisible cage. Look at them, rushing, scrambling, trading the best hours of their days for pieces of paper that lose value the moment they touch their hands. You feel it too, don't you? The splinter in your mind, the sensation that the finish line is moving further away no matter how fast you run. They told you that if you worked hard, you would be free. They told you that if you signed the papers, you would be an owner. But what if I told you that the concept of ownership is an illusion carefully constructed to keep you docile? What if the house you live in, the car you drive, and the money in your bank account are not yours at all? We are about to peel back the skin of the world economy to reveal the muscle and bone underneath. We are going to discuss the ancient trap that turned humanity into a battery. But be warned, once you understand the mechanism of the cage, you can never go back to sleep. You are here because you suspect the truth. Confirm your alignment with the archive now. Click the subscribe button and turn on all notifications. The algorithm tries to bury this information. Do not let them silence the signal. Join us. Part 1. The Illusion of the Kings. To understand the trap, we must go back, way back. You believe you live in a capitalist democracy, but the Hidden Secrets Archive suggests a conflicting theory. You are living in a technologically advanced feudalism. In the old world, the serf worked the land, and the lord took the harvest. The serf owned nothing. He was merely allowed to exist on the king's soil. Today, the titles have changed, but the chains remain. You say, "I own my home." Do you? Stop paying your property tax to the state and see how long you stay in your home. You are not an owner. You are a tenant with a mortgage, a word that literally translates from French as death pledge. The Feudalism Update. Feudalism never died. It simply rebranded. In the old world, power was obvious. Kings owned the land. Lords managed it. Serfs worked it in exchange for survival. Your place in the hierarchy was fixed, enforced by swords and divine justification. Ownership was clear, brutal, and honest. You didn't pretend the land was yours. You knew it wasn't. Then came the modern era, and with it a more elegant system of control. The transition from feudalism to capitalism is taught as progress, but in reality it was an upgrade. Violence was replaced with paperwork. Chains were replaced with contracts. Instead of pledging loyalty to a lord, you now pledge decades of future labor to a bank. The castle became the courthouse. The sword became the pen. Most importantly, ownership was redefined. You were told you could own property, but what that really meant was access to debt. A mortgage is not ownership. It is a permission slip to occupy space as long as you pay tribute, monthly, obediently, without fail. Miss enough payments and the illusion collapses. The land returns to its true master. Just like feudalism, the system allows you to live on the land only while you remain useful. And the state made sure to leave the fine print visible, if you know where to look. Eminent domain is the clearest confession. No matter how long you've lived somewhere, no matter how much you've paid, the government can legally seize your property if it decides the land serves a greater purpose. Civil asset forfeiture goes even further. The state doesn't need to prove you committed a crime to take what you own. The property itself is declared guilty. These are not glitches. They are reminders. Proof that true ownership of physical matter never left the throne. What changed was how people were kept compliant. Enter the middle class. The middle class was not a natural outcome of freedom. It was a strategic invention, a buffer class, a productivity engine, a group given just enough comfort to fear losing it. Not rich enough to escape the system, not poor enough to rebel against it. Homeowners with burning deeds in their filing cabinets, student loans as invisible shackles, retirement accounts that tether them to decades of obedience. They were given borders on maps and told they mattered, even as those borders shifted with wars, policies, and economic resets beyond their control. This is the feudalism update. The serf now wears a necktie. The chains are invisible. The land still isn't yours. But you're busy enough paying for the illusion that you don't have time to question who it really belongs to. If you do not hold the deed without a lien, and if you cannot defend it from the taxman, you own nothing. You are merely renting your survival, and the rent is due every single day. Ask yourself this unresolved question. If the government can take your property because you didn't pay a tax on something you already bought, did you ever really buy it? Type "I own nothing" in the comments if you are starting to see the bars of the cage. Part 2. The Alchemy of Theft, 1971. The physical cage is bad enough, but the invisible cage is worse. There was a time when money was a certificate of claim on reality. Gold, silver, something tangible, something you could hold, something that required effort to mine. Then came 1971, the Nixon shock. The moment the tether was cut, the moment money became fiat. Let it be done. Magic words. Since that day, the currency you work for has been detached from reality. It is no longer a store of value. It is a mechanism of control. In 1971, something fundamental snapped. When the United States decoupled the dollar from the gold standard, money stopped being a claim on anything real. No metal, no limit, no anchor. Currency became a promise backed only by confidence, and confidence is infinitely easier to print than gold. From that moment on, money was no longer a store of value. It became a tool of control. This decision is often framed as a technical adjustment. In reality, it was the birth of the invisible tax. Inflation is not a natural disaster. It is not weather. It does not just happen. Inflation is a deliberate expansion of the money supply that quietly devalues every hour you've already worked. When new money is created, no one asks for your consent, but you still pay. Your savings shrink. Your purchasing power erodes. Your future is taxed retroactively. This is theft disguised as mathematics. Unlike income tax, inflation is never voted on. Unlike fees, it is never itemized. It operates silently, like rust. You feel poorer, but you're told you're imagining it. Prices rise, wages lag, and the gap is explained away as complexity rather than design. The mechanism behind this is known as the Cantillon effect, though its consequences are anything but academic. Those closest to the money printer, governments, banks, large institutions, receive newly created money first. They spend it before prices adjust. They buy assets, stocks, land, entire companies. By the time that money reaches the working class, prices have already risen. The value has already been drained. The result is a one-way transfer of wealth upward. The printer runs day and night, metal screaming, ink flowing, until it metaphorically catches fire. Yet the pain is outsourced. The middle and working classes absorb it through higher rent, higher food costs, shrinking savings, and longer working hours. Time itself is stolen, years of labor erased without a headline. And the scale of this erosion is staggering. Since the creation of the Federal Reserve, and accelerated after 1971, the US dollar has lost approximately 98% of its purchasing power. What once supported a family now barely covers survival. This didn't happen over centuries. It happened within a single lifetime. Grandparents watched their money melt. Grandchildren inherited the illusion. Picture it. Ice sculptures of presidents slowly collapsing under studio lights. Faces melt. Features blur. Authority dissolves into puddles. Above them, an hourglass sits inverted, but the sand flows upward, defying logic, symbolizing a system where effort moves backward while costs race forward. This is the invisible tax. You are not failing. The system is extracting. And the more obediently you save in a melting currency, the more efficiently your time is converted into nothing at all. There are two theories here. The official theory. The central banks manage the economy to keep us safe from volatility. The dark theory. They detach money from gold so they can steal your time without you noticing. When they print $1 trillion, they are diluting the hours you worked. They are stealing your life force from the past. We are deep in the labyrinth now. Most turn back here. They prefer the comfort of the lie. If you are still watching, you are the resistance. Check your subscription status. Ensure the notification bell is on. You need to know when the next file is unlocked. Part 3. The Architects of JEKYLL Island. Who holds the keys? Who decides when the printing press runs? It is not the government. It is not the people you vote for. To find the owners, we must travel to a secluded island off the coast of Georgia. The year is 1910. 6 men boarded a train. They used code names. They told the press they were going duck hunting. They represented 1/4 of the world's wealth. They didn't go to hunt ducks. They went to hunt you. The private corporation. The story doesn't begin in a Capitol building or a public vote. It begins in secrecy. In 1910, a small group of powerful men traveled under assumed names to JEKYLL Island, a private retreat off the coast of Georgia. Senators, bankers, financial architects representing the most powerful banking interests in America. They arrived quietly, avoided staff, and spoke in whispers. What they drafted there would later be sold to the public as stability, but it was born in darkness. From that meeting came the Federal Reserve. Despite the name, the Federal Reserve is neither truly federal nor meaningfully reserved. It is not a government-owned institution in the way most people assume. It is a central banking system structured as a network of private banks, owned by its member banks, granted extraordinary authority by the state. It does not hold vast vaults of money waiting to be deployed. It creates money, on demand, from nothing. This is not conspiracy, it is architecture. The Federal Reserve exists in a strange legal twilight, part public, part private, fully insulated from democratic accountability. Its decisions shape interest rates, employment conditions, inflation, and recessions, not just in the United States, but across the globe. Entire nations rise or collapse based on policies decided behind closed doors by unelected officials. Picture a hydra with 7 heads. Cut one off, another replaces it. Regional banks, boards, committees, layers of abstraction, so no single head can be blamed when the body tightens its grip. At the heart of this system lies what critics call the mandrake mechanism, the process by which money is created as debt. When new money enters the system, it is not printed and given. It is loaned into existence. Every dollar is born owing more than itself. Interest is attached, but the interest is never created. This guarantees a permanent shortfall. There is always more debt than money, always someone behind, always pressure to borrow again to cover what cannot be repaid. The system requires expansion to survive. More loans, more leverage, more extraction. Collapse is not a failure. It is a reset button. And who benefits? Not the politicians on the stage. They are puppets, useful ones. They argue, posture, campaign, and distract. But the strings run upward, out of sight, into boardrooms and balance sheets. Policy bends toward capital because capital designed the system. The document was signed long ago, metaphorically in blood, binding governments to a structure they no longer control. This is the private corporation that governs public life. Invisible, unaccountable, too complex to challenge, too powerful to oppose directly. A machine that feeds on debt, grows through crisis, and tightens control every time it claims to save the system from itself. The Hydra doesn't fear outrage. It feeds on ignorance. And as long as the puppet show continues, the hands holding the strings remain safely in the dark. Look at the bill in your pocket, the pyramid, the eye. Novus Ordo Seclorum, new order of the ages. They didn't hide their plan. They printed it on the very chains they used to bind you. Why use occult symbolism on a boring financial instrument? Unless it isn't financial at all. Unless it is a talisman of ownership. Pause the video. Look at the back of a dollar bill. Do you see a government or do you see a cult? Comment, "I see the signs," if you refuse to be blind. Part 4. The Final Enclosure. CBDC. If you don't own the land and you don't own the money, surely you own your freedom? You own your ability to buy bread, to travel, to exist? We are approaching the end of the fiat experiment. The architects know the dollar is dying. They are not trying to save it. They are preparing the demolition. They are ready to migrate the herd into a new pen. The digital prison. The next upgrade doesn't arrive with tanks or soldiers. It arrives as an app update. Central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are marketed as innovation, faster payments, less friction, more efficiency. But beneath the clean interface lies the final evolution of control. Money that no longer belongs to you, even temporarily. Cash was flawed from the system's perspective because it had one dangerous feature. It worked without permission. You could hold it, save it, spend it privately, lose it, give it away. Cash created blind spots, and blind spots are unacceptable in a system obsessed with surveillance. CBDCs remove those blind spots entirely. Unlike crypto, specifically Bitcoin, CBDCs are not decentralized, not permissionless, and not resistant to authority. Bitcoin has no master switch, no central issuer, no committee that can freeze your wallet because your opinion drifted out of bounds. CBDCs are the opposite. They are ultimate centralization, dressed up as technological progress. This is where money becomes programmable. Programmable money doesn't just ask how much you have, it decides how you're allowed to use it. Your currency can be coded to expire if not spent fast enough. Savings become impossible by design. Your wallet can refuse purchases deemed non-essential, unsafe, or non-compliant. Meat, fuel, ammunition, travel, donations, all toggleable, all conditional. The cage doesn't need bars when the wallet says, "Access denied." In a cashless society, dissent becomes a technical issue, not a moral one. You don't get arrested. You don't get debated. You simply get deplatformed from the economy. Accounts frozen. Transactions reversed. Identity flagged. No dramatic crackdown, just quiet deletion. Imagine barcodes on foreheads, not literal at first, but functional. Your digital identity tied to your financial permissions. Every purchase logged, every movement inferred. A social credit score without the branding. A system where compliance is rewarded with convenience and resistance is punished with friction until life becomes unlivable. A digital cage lowers over the city slowly, invisibly. No alarms, no screams, just fewer options each day. And the most terrifying part? People will ask for it. They'll trade freedom for comfort, privacy for speed, autonomy for safety. They'll say, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear, while standing inside a system that can erase them with a line of code. This isn't about efficiency. It's about obedience at scale. Once money itself is a surveillance tool, there is no separation between economic life and political compliance. The protester doesn't need to be silenced. Their wallet does. The prison won't feel like a prison. It will feel like normal life, until the day you try to step out of line and discover the door was never real to begin with. History shows us that every time a currency collapses, the wealth transfers upward. It is the greatest magic trick of all. The middle class is wiped out, and the owners buy the world for pennies on the dollar. They are waiting for the crash. They engineered it. Conclusion: the unresolved ending. So, we return to the title of this video. If you don't own this, you'll work forever. What is this? Is it gold? Perhaps. Is it land? Maybe. But the only thing they cannot confiscate, the only thing they cannot inflate away, and the only thing they cannot program is your mind, your awareness. They rely on your ignorance. They rely on you believing that paper is wealth and that debt is an asset. But now you have seen the archive. You have the forbidden knowledge. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you remain a battery in their machine, or will you unplug? The system is fragile. It requires your belief to function. Stop believing. This is the Hidden Secrets Archive. We don't provide the exit. We only show you the door. One final question for the awakened. Do you believe the coming collapse is an accident or a controlled demolition? Type controlled or accident in the comments below.